What's up, guys? It's Eric, and if you're new to my channel, it's all about mental health, mental illness, suicide awareness, sobriety, and just letting people know that they're not going through it alone in life. One of the things I've been hit up a lot on is, suicide, and who do you tell when you're suicidal, and even how do you tell somebody when you're suicidal? Are you getting those thoughts in your head? I've been there before. September of 2018, I attempted to commit suicide. I had it all mapped out. I had everything in place, from the rope being hung to the letters being wrote. And I was ready to be there. I was done. I had logically convinced myself that this was the only solution for me. And at that point, it was too late. Leading up to that, there were warning signs, there was feelings inside of me, but I didn't want to talk to anyone about it because I didn't want to be a burden to anyone. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I felt very alone, and thankfully there's a frozen bottle of vodka that actually triggered everything to stop, because at that point I was past reaching out for help. A lot of times people say they're suicidal or they're going to kill themselves, and it's not attention seeking, it's connection seeking. We're seeking somebody almost, or a response from somebody to let us know that it's okay, to let us know that it's going to be better, and to positively reinforce us. The times that I've gotten back almost to that point, because I do struggle with MDD, it's major depressive disorder, and I'm not able to take antidepressants. Prozac, Lexapro, they make me suicidal. Zoloft, I can't even get out of bed. I'm not depressed, but I can't get out of bed. So taking my Adderall for my ADHD does help me with that. One of the things I did stop during that time was taking my meds. So if you are on medication, talk with your doctor before ever dropping any of the meds, because it can have reverse effects with you that you don't even realize. But talking to somebody and knowing and feeling that start to build up in you, you know when you're there almost, and when it's starting to build, because you feel a burden, you feel like you're alone, that nobody understands. And we're having all these conversations with people in our head and not in reality. So it makes us feel even more alone. Our brain almost computes that I've had this conversation with this person, they don't care, even though we've literally have never said one word to them. And that's how my brain acted. One of the best ways that I've found to let people know that you are feeling suicidal and why you're feeling suicidal is to just reach out for help. I pick up the phone now, and my go-to person actually is my mom. That's who I go to. Mom, I'm hurting. And that's what I say. I leave it just like that, and she knows what's going on, and we just start talking. Communication and figuring out a game plan eases all of those feelings, all of the logic of why we want to take our life. This is a serious fucking subject. It's reality. Suicide, it takes somebody's life every 45 seconds. It is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. It is the first leading cause of death in males 25 to 45. It is the second leading cause of death in 10-year-old to 19-year-olds. So it's a serious thing, and it's something that we don't talk enough about. Because we do see people all the time shouting out and screaming out that I'm suicidal, I'm going to kill myself. And we feel that they're only doing it for attention. They're doing it for connection. And for us who are struggling silently and suffering silently, who truly start building up the motives to, just asking somebody who's close to you for help is key. And my mother has been there for me when I've needed her to be. I will put it that way. One of the other things that you can do is you can write letters to people. A lot of times when we feel like a burden, we feel alone, we feel that nobody understands, we feel like we're going to be judged, we're going to be looked at differently. We don't want to be almost in that environment. It's very uncomfortable to try and start that conversation. We're in a day and age of texting and emails and all of this. Well, handwriting somebody a letter and saying, hey, this is what I'm struggling with, and giving them the letter is huge. Just writing it out, you don't have to have almost that being in the same room with them and having the conversation. Like, it allows the conversation to open itself up and start it. Writing letters, I'm a firm believer in, because it allows somebody to really digest and go, holy shit, this person's really going through something. They took the time to write me a letter. What more of an impact do you have than when you get a handwritten letter from somebody, especially of what they're going through? When we feel suicidal, that's the biggest thing, is we feel alone, and that nobody cares, nobody understands, that we are burdening everybody. Everybody is better off without us. And it allows that conversation to start, and all of a sudden notice that, hey, this person does care about me. And sometimes we have to reach out to multiple people. It's not just with one. It's with multiple people, because somebody will reach back out for you. And it's about not giving up, because you are worth it. I get it that you feel that nobody cares, that you're not important, that the world won't even notice if you're gone, you're a burden. You're none of that bullshit. I was there. I felt that. You know, my wife and my father both took their lives, and they were loved. I wanted them to be here. They weren't a burden to me. They were none of that. You know, these were people that had huge places in my life, and I would do anything to have one more day with them. So you have to remember that when you're feeling this way, that you have to have the conversation, and not only the conversation in your head. Reaching out for help either through a phone call or through a letter is important. Also, getting with a therapist is important. If you're really worried about what you're going to do with yourself or to yourself, call 911. Call 911. That is the best emergency hotline, crisis line there is, because they will come find you. But we have to build that strength up inside us. And I can tell you this, if you're at that point, call 911 and give them a chance. You'd be surprised. Strangers will care about strangers more than sometimes than our own family will, because there's no judgment there. It's human kindness is what makes a difference. Call 911. You'd be surprised. I know a lot of people whose lives have turned around because they were at that point of wanting to commit suicide, that a police officer, a paramedic, somebody who's an EMT response, a firefighter, actually saved their lives by the words that they said and just showing that human compassion. Don't give up. Don't give up reaching out for help. You know, go to your friends. You're not a burden to your friends. You know who's close to you and who's not, who's that temporary friend and who's not, and write them a letter even. Sending text, you know, there's no emotion in that communication. But in talking to each other, there is. You can hear the voice fluctuations. You can tell when something's wrong in talking to somebody versus reading a text from somebody, versus reading an email from somebody. That's why even if seeing a letter wrote, there's a lot of emotion and time put into actually stopping your day and writing a letter. It's not just using words as communication, it's using emotion to communicate also. And then getting the help that we need. And sometimes it even goes back to breaking down the basics, you know, whether it's a stress of money, whether it's you're not taking your medication, whether it's you need to get back into therapy, whether you're missing coping tools, whatever it might be. Maybe it's having that positive reinforcement. There's a lot. I mean, life is scary. It beats you the fuck up. There's no lying, there's no way around that. But finding ways and tools and having others help to get through it makes such a difference. But it comes down to when you are suicidal, who do you talk to? I mean, your friends and your family, sometimes even strangers. And that's hard to do. It's hard to talk to a stranger. It really is. Writing them that letter, telling, hey, I need help. But ask for help. Give it a little time. Just stay a little bit. Remember that the conversations that you're having in your head that you're not having actually with other individuals. Because the worst is when we actually think that we've had a conversation with somebody when we never did. And I've had many of those. I'm extremely guilty of that. I can do such a good job of convincing my brain that I had a conversation with somebody that I never even had, that my brain literally thinks that, hey, I've already told you this. But I haven't. And it's not a kind of told them, I sort of told them. You gotta be clear. You gotta be clear in the communication. Because if you're not clear and you just say, well, I'm not really happy, that doesn't do anything for anybody. Okay, you're having a bad day, you know, what's going on? When you tell somebody, dude, I'm logically to the point that, like, I don't think I'm fucking worth it. I don't think life is worth it. I don't want to be here anymore. I think everyone's going to be better off without me. Here's how I'm a burden. And you start letting them know how you convince yourself, they can start unconvincing you. And they can start pulling away the little parts of that ball and opening it up to get to what really the source and the root is. Because you are an amazing human being. You've made it through 100% of your worst days to make it through to today. But we do get trapped in our heads, and we do get trapped in our thoughts and in our feelings. And those convince us so much that we've told others that we haven't. So write those letters. Give them to them. Give them a letter. Here, this is really important to me. Will you please read this? Walk away. Just walk away. Let them read it. Start then the communication. I mean, if you get a letter like that from somebody that says that they're struggling, you got to take it serious. You know, if you feel that nobody cares, call 911. Call the suicide hotline. Call somebody. Get somebody to listen, because people do want to listen. Believe me, there is a lot of help and there is a lot of support out there. But when we're in that moment, we don't feel it and we don't believe it and we don't think that we matter, but you do. You're worth it. I mean, the strongest thing I ever did was continue to live when I wanted to die, because I was there. And I'm glad that the vodka is frozen, and I'm glad that I learned that, I can go to my mom and talk to her, that I can go to friends in my life and talk to them when I get to that point that I'm struggling, so that they can help reconvince me of why the solution that I'm coming up with is not logical and doesn't make sense, and how it will actually affect everyone and how much that I matter. We need that positive reinforcement. We need that positive love, because you do matter. You deserve to be here, and it gets better. It is hard sometimes, and that's okay. And it's okay to be not okay. But you got this. Hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my channel. It's all about mental health, mental illness, just making sure that you don't go it alone. Comment down below. Love to hear. Love to hear what you've been through. I'd love to hear your story, because your story saves lives. And that's the power of our story. I created a nonprofit called Driven Together, bridging the gap between a crisis hotline and therapy, of tools, resources, and support. Down below in the description, I have links to the mental health Discord, links to all my different social media if you want to reach out to me. I have links to our website. I have links to things on Amazon that I use for coping for anxiety, like fidget spinners, fidget cubes, weighted blankets. I even have a link down below to BetterHelp if you want to try online therapy. It's trial and error to find out what works for you. And it's about not giving up, about remembering and looking in that mirror and going, you know what, I am a BAMF. I'm a badass motherfucker. I made it through 100% of my worst days to make it through 2 today, and that I got this. So don't ever forget that. Don't forget how much you matter, because we lose track of that sometimes. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's do this together.